That's right, I'm now one of those YouTubers that talks about video games without adding anything substantial to the discussion about them. Haha! Also, I just want an excuse to upload videos. Now that Dual Override's been announced, Mega Man season is in full swing. Forever. I hadn't touched any Mega Man games since like COVID, so this was a good excuse to get back to replaying some. When I first gave Mega Man a shot back in 2021, I just blasted through all the mainline games. I didn't bother with Battle Network, I didn't bother with Command Mission, I didn't bother with the Fortune Street one, but I did play the first-person shooter one, and then I remembered that I couldn't read Japanese and I stopped playing after like 15 minutes. They should re-release this game with mouse controls or light gun support because I think it would be fun. There's zero chance of it making any sort of profit. In fact, I believe it'd make them lose money if anything, but they should do it because I asked them to. But yeah, during my marathon I skipped over Mega Man Powered Up, either because I didn't realize it existed or I just didn't want to count remakes as part of the marathon. Now that I've got that Mega Man itch again, I decided to give it a shot and I thought it was Okay, so first off, I am not a little baby. Video games are for babies. Mega Man is for babies. Which is why I play my Mega Man games on hard mode if applicable, because I feel like those are the intended ways. One could argue that normal mode is the intended way to play these games and harder difficulties are just there for those who want a challenge, but some other games have content exclusive to the harder difficulties like cooler level design and new boss attacks, so I tend to gravitate towards higher difficulties. I had just finished up Mega Man 10 and I thought that game's hard mode was actually quite good and also unintentionally funny because it would place enemies in stages that they weren't designed for. I don't mean that in like a, oh, the developers didn't playtest this kind of way. I mean that in like a visual way. The Fire Factory robot that shoots solar beams at you appearing in the poop sewers caught me off guard and I laughed. Back to my main point, I bring up hard mode now because that's the difficulty I first played the game on and I will probably be bringing it up a lot. By the way, this game is a remake of the first Mega Man game for the NES. Okay, I'm going to actually talk about the game now. If you're one of the real Mega heads out there, you probably already noticed something a bit odd. Mega Man's real name isn't Mega, it's Rock. A bunch of characters in this series are named after musical terms. His sister's name is Roll, his rival's name is Bass, his brother's name is Blues. I don't even have a problem with the original name Rockman being changed to Mega Man. It's just weird that they sometimes insist his actual name is Mega and don't ever really fully commit to the erasure of musical terms. They got his name right in the Mega Man 4 opening. I guess they just didn't think the stupid Westerners would be able to understand the concept of someone's superhero persona having a different name from their civilian persona. Except they did exactly this in the Archie comics and it was not confusing at all. It also makes this one cutscene of Dr. Light bestowing Rock the title of Rockman a little weird. It has Dr. Light referring to his son by his name before correcting himself and adding man to the end for an epic title drop. That's probably just because I already know the forbidden knowledge of the name Rock, but hearing Dr. Light come up with the name Mega Man as if it's an extension of the normal and natural name Mega just feels really strange and wrong. Come to think of it, this game seems to have a problem when it comes to translating things literally. When you encounter Bomb Man, he tells you that you should have come here the day before yesterday, which I mean doesn't not make sense, but it's still kind of a strange thing to say. That's because in Japanese, come here the day before yesterday is a phrase that means don't you ever come here again. I guess the translator didn't know that this phrase had a secondary meaning in Japanese. Weird. Also, I don't even know if this is a translation or a localization thing, but Iceman's personality in this game is weird. He talks to himself while switching between the personality of a sergeant and a soldier. I'm assuming the joke is that he's bipolar, haha, but I don't know. But yeah, you just start off with Mega Man in this game with his original Mega Man 1 moveset. No slide, no charge shot, no rush, no beat, no tango, no auto, no yo- Which I mean, isn't inherently a bad thing. Mega Man 9 and 10 removed the charge shot and slide from Mega Man's arsenal for nostalgia purposes, and those games are still fine. It would have been nice and all to have, but I'm not going to say the game is bad because it doesn't have them. But you can't shoot through walls anymore, which I do think is weird. It's not game ruining or anything, but I think he should still be able to shoot through walls. But to be fair, enemies also can't shoot through walls either, so it kind of balances out. But also in some games, it's made very clear that it is a special ability of Mega Man since another certain playable character cannot do it. So the only things Mega Man has to his name in this game are jumping and shooting an uncharged Mega Buster asterisk. Speaking of, this game actually encourages and rewards you for taking on bosses with just the Mega Buster, which I think is cool. If you take out a boss with only the Mega Buster, you can recruit them as a playable character for their own campaign. This game is unique in this case, as to my knowledge, no other Mega Man game provides you with as many playable characters as this one. I think it's good to reward players for doing things that aren't optimal but require skill and also make you look really cool. Except for the part where this design choice hurts the game later on, but I'll talk about that later. The level design in this game is roughly equivalent to the NES versions. I'm sure there are probably some subtle changes to account the screen size difference between the NES and PSP, but I didn't have very many moments where I was like, this is super different from the original. One thing I see a lot of people say that I agree with is that the level designs look like they were made in a level editor, because this game has a level editor, which makes them look unnatural, if that makes sense. I mean, I know floating platforms and giant fire bars are inherently unnatural, but this is unnatural in a different way. Anyway, I don't have the level designs of Mega Man 1 engraved into my brain, so I can only really notice differences in like Gutsman and Elecman stages. Oh wait, the old style option before starting a game is more to it than I thought. Everything about Powered Up I've been talking about so far only really applies to new style. I thought picking between old style and new style was literally just picking between playing the original NES release of Mega Man and the Powered Up remake, but old style is actually the original NES game in screen size with Powered Up's engine. Like, Big Eyes, which will only take damage if they're shot in the eye while it's open in new style, can be shot anywhere for damage in the old style, just like in Mega Man 1. The bosses also don't use their new attacks and just stick to their NES patterns. And, hey look, there's the Magnet Beam. This mode is even faithful enough to keep that section of the Wily Castle where it's required to progress. I guess if you just want to play Mega Man 1 with newer graphics, you can play this if you don't like Powered Up's changes. Speaking of the Robot Masters, this game has some cool pre-boss dialogue that lets them show off their personalities. The conversations usually follow the format of Mega Man trying and failing to convince him to come back home for repairs. This characterization of Mega Man makes sense and is probably what the average person would imagine for him, but it's actually quite funny to me because it's kind of a retcon. In the arcade game Mega Man 2 The Power Fighters, which released before Powered Up, Mega Man's ending has him distraught over the fact that he never negotiated with any haywire Robot Masters before taking them down, meaning in every game he was just running in there and killing them on sight. Wait, Mega Man already makes sure to not destroy their IC chips when he fights them to ensure they can be repaired and reprogrammed for good. Why does he feel bad about killing these guys if it doesn't even matter? Unless he's talking about the literal robots. I don't think he tries to preserve those. This game also has two new Robot Masters that weren't in the original game, Time Man and Oil Man. The bosses in Mega Man 2 are, in-universe, apparently based on the designs of Dr. Light's robots from Mega Man 1. Some parallels make sense, like Heat Man is based off of Fireman, Crash Man is based off of Bomb Man, and apparently also Guts Man. Metal Man is based off of Cut Man, Quick Man is based off of Elec Man. I mean, I guess that one makes sense if you just go with the logic of electricity is fast. My point is, Time Man fits in nicely as a prelude to Flash Man, with the former's ability being slowing time and the latter's being stopping it entirely. I'm not really sure who Oil Man would be a prelude to though. Bubble Man maybe. I don't think Capcom even cares about these guys. I never got any official numbers, the closest being 00A and 00B in the Archie comics, which most people just seem to roll with. The Archie comics explain the unique numbering as Dr. Light considering them being too experimental to present with the original 6. But in Powered Up, only Time Man is described as experimental. Oil Man is just Oil Man. Also, their weapons are complete opposites when it comes to being useful. I can't ever really think of a time where I'd want to pull out the time slow. Whenever you use it, it always has this god-awful startup animation that freezes you in place, so it's not even a good panic button. If you're running away from something when you use it, you're probably just going to end up getting hit anyway. Imagine if when you wanted to use Time Stopper, Mega Man had to sit in place for like 3 seconds before he was able to move again. It wouldn't be a very good weapon. I mean, it isn't really anyway, so you can't cancel it, and you can't shoot or switch to a different weapon, but Oil Man's oil slider is kind of fun to use though. You shoot out a glob of oil on the ground, and if you walk over it, it becomes a skateboard and propels you forward at 1,000,000 miles per hour. You can also use it as a double jump, which is pretty cool. Just don't use it for combat. Literally any other special weapon is better. The Mega Buster is better. Okay, this is the part of the video where I start complaining about the parts of the game I didn't like. Mega Man 1 is infamous for having these really annoying platforming sections that consist of floating platforms that move in random directions and also shoot at you, and they're always over instant death pits. So when you get to these sections, it is completely up to chance if the platforms will ever fly close enough to each other for you to make the jump and progress. However, in Mega Man 1 there's an item that you are required to collect called the Magnet Beam. It lets you create long floating platforms, meaning if you collect this item you can basically just ignore the stupid floating platform sections. I mean, I'm not sure I would really call it good game design if the best way to take on a challenge is to skip over it entirely, but my point is that these sections are dumb and there's at least a consistent way to make them tolerable. Mega Man Powered Up on the other hand is weird. It feels like it's trying to both be faithful to the original game while also trying to be something new, and because of this it creates some really annoying issues. The RNG floating platforms are back, but there's no Magnet Beam in this game. The progression is completely up to the whims of these platforms. This game also encourages and rewards players for completing stages as quickly as possible, as it gives out bonus points for completing stages within a certain time limit. These two design choices cannot coexist. It is a feature that rewards consistency when the inconsistent parts have too much power. Also, I replayed the game for footage on normal mode, and on normal mode these platforms don't move in random directions, they have clearly defined patterns. So they knew that these platforms were stupid and just kept it that way for hard mode instead of changing them to be the fair kind of difficulty. Also, as I mentioned before, this game rewards you for taking down the Robot Masters with only the Mega Buster. This sets the precedent that every boss in the game can be defeated with just the Mega Buster. The final 4 stages all have bosses that can be damaged by the Mega Buster. The Yellow Devil can be taken out by it. I mean, I wouldn't, and I didn't. I used his weakness to speed up the fight, but that's okay because most devil fights in the Mega Man series are artificially difficult and it's your civic duty to beat them in the easiest way possible. I think the only devil fight I thought was both kind of challenging and fun was the yellow devil fight from the arcade games. And I think that might literally only be because it doesn't do that thing where it splits into a million pieces and fires at you for like 10 seconds. But anyway, my point is that the yellow devil and powered up can be beaten with just the Mega Buster. But if you do that, you're either having some insane mental fortitude or you're a serial killer. Or both. The next stage's boss is also beatable with only the Mega Buster. Not really. This fight is like near impossible on hard mode. There's an attack where it wipes the floor with a laser, but it's random as to which side the laser will start on. The boss also gets faster the more damage you deal to it, so it basically just turns into hoping the side you pick is the side the laser doesn't start on. This seems like it would be the most opportune time to use time slow, but even then the startup animation it has means you're probably going to get hit by the laser anyway. If you want to do this fight Mega Buster only, you actually have to be superhuman. I did do it first try Buster only on normal mode though. The next stage's boss, Copy Robot, is actually reasonably beatable with just the Mega Buster. Except there's a boss rematch section you have to complete before it. I haven't brought it up this entire video, but the Robot Master fights in this game also kind of suck sometimes. They all have Pyrobot Syndrome where they have a big flashy attack that does a bunch of damage, but while they're performing it they're completely invincible. I hate this kind of thing in Mega Man in particular because one of the main fun parts of Mega Man boss battles is how if you're good enough you can still deal damage to the boss while weaving in and out of their attacks. Mega Man boss battles where you have to wait forever until the boss is vulnerable again are always the worst. Also, there are no health pickups in this boss rush, which is especially annoying. They had this figured out by Mega Man 2. I only beat this stage because I kept repeatedly entering and exiting Iceman stage to farm the extra life that spawns at the beginning. Also, Salt in the Wound is that Copy Robot has the charge shot. Thanks. The final boss, Wily Machine number 1, starts off seemingly innocuous. Its shots are dodgeable, it takes damage from the Mega Buster, it seems fine all around. Then you get to the second phase and it pulls this. When I first played, I had no idea how I was supposed to counter this. There's nowhere you can stand that dodges it, you can't jump over it, and you definitely can't slide under it. I did this attack like 10 times before I gave in and looked at the solution. If you care about being spoiled on Mega Man boss battles, cover your ear for like 20 seconds. Okay, so this boss isn't possible Mega Buster only. It doesn't have a set weakness either. Its weakness is constantly changing, being the weakness of the Robot Master it is currently using the weapon of. It only cancels his charge attack by hitting him with his current weakness. But I mean, I just shot him with the oil slider when he was about to charge, and that attack isn't from a Robot Master, so maybe you just have to hit him with a special weapon to cancel his charge? I feel like this detail is maybe a little too subtle, or maybe I'm just stupid. But either way, I think the precedent of basically every boss being beatable with the Mega Buster, but the final boss having an undodgeable attack unless you pull out its weakness is lame. For beating hard mode, you unlock Mega as a playable character, which is just rock without his suit. He can't copy Robot Master weapons, but he's quite skilled at bludgeoning his enemies to instant death with his foot. The story of this route is Rock offering to help save the other Robot Masters, and Dr. Light is just like, yeah, you're fine as is, go get him, champ. It's pretty funny, but I feel like there are some parts that weren't really made with it in mind, so you have to abuse invincibility frames to get through them. But for beating normal mode, you unlock Mega Man C, who has the charge shot and slide. You don't unlock Mega Man C even if you beat hard mode before normal mode, it is only by beating normal mode. And base Mega Man and Mega Man C share stage unlocks between each other, so the optimal route is to do normal mode first and then take on hard mode with Mega Man C. You are punished for immediately trying to prove your worth. Also, Mega Man C's slide is pretty bad as a movement tool since it has a startup animation, so it exists literally only for accessing new areas to get construction pieces. Wonderful. Mega is his own save file though, good luck with that. In conclusion, did I basically moan and complain about the game for 90% of the video? Yes. Do I think Mega Man Powered Up is a bad game? Depends on how you approach it. I mean, if you go to a recreation center and they have 9,000 rooms where they strap you down and flay you to death, but they also have a room with really cool, awesome tennis, can you really complain if you're just allowed to not enter the rooms that kill you? If you do what I did and run after hard mode first, you'll probably leave with a sour taste in your mouth. If you just played on normal mode, you'll probably enjoy it. For me, the game was way more enjoyable on normal mode. It felt like an actual video game made by people. But please, if you ever want to play this game, unless you're some sort of psychopath, do not do it first on hard mode. I think I've played enough Mega Man games to be a trustworthy enough source for that opinion. Also, this game has a level editor and challenges, but I didn't talk about them because I didn't touch them at all. Oops.